Hey everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Leasing Highway. Today we're excited to be joined by Nicole Mclemore, who's the National Marketing Operations Manager for Lincoln Property Company. And so super excited to have her on and get some unique perspective of the industry. And Nicole, we're again excited to have you. Why don't you start by just sharing a little background about your role and what it is you do?
Okay, of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me. This is my first podcast, so it's exciting.
Even with the technical glitch of power outages.
Yes. Yeah. We made it through that too. Yeah.
Bring down the house.
So my name is Nicole Mclemore, and I've been with Lincoln for 21 years now. I started when I was a wee baby. And no, we all joke that, we pretty much have lived our 20s in the industry at Lincoln Property. So we have a lot of us that are around the same year. But yeah, so I started in leasing on site, and I went up to promoted to the executive assistant position at the corporate office, where I worked there for like 8 years. And then I moved over to the marketing and training department, worked there, for several years in a lot of different roles. And finally now I'm on marketing team. And, just because I've done so much behind the scenes, I wanted to have operations in my title. So we got marketing operations manager. So that's kind of how I got here. But yeah, I've had so many different roles, and I've had so much different knowledge from the industry. So happy to be here.
That is a lot of time. So, and to have experienced so many different facets, that's an awesome perspective that you have for anybody that you get to interact with too at Lincoln.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I think, when I look at kind of your history and the different roles, there's so many people throughout the industry that have climbed the ranks, so to speak, and gone through those different positions. But I think you're in a really interesting role in that, you have a lot of your marketing kind of experience and are part of that marketing team, but an interesting role in the sense that you also have that technical component of marketing, which is really a newer facet of the marketing teams across the country, and more important. I think a lot of marketing teams out there are missing that role or missing that piece, and are starting to learn to incorporate that, and mostly by need. But curious, from your perspective, what's something that maybe nobody really realizes about your role in day to day?
So I guess the interesting thing, there's so many different things or so many hats I've had, but I set up all the conference call lines for everybody in our company, which is so random because it has nothing to do with my job. But yeah,
Awesome.
Anything else that's one of those hidden gems that you do that nobody realizes?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of like administrative stuff that I've picked up from the years, and people are just like, well, you do it so well, so why don't you just keep doing that?
Oh yeah, that is dangerous, right? When some of those things you don't want to learn, because then all of a sudden you're the go-to, you're the one that people are asking to do it. When I think of marketing, and I think most people think of marketing, you think of like the creative side, the design of a flyer, or the decorations for an event, a lot of that part. But like you said earlier, the behind the scenes, and there's the operations part. Can you describe more of what goes into that for people, and some of the analytics that you're looking at behind the scenes, or systems? Oh my gosh, Nicole, what you have to puzzle piece together with systems, maybe shed some light on that, because it's so critical and such a major part of your role.
Yeah, for sure. So that, like what Dee was saying, the operations side of it, I think everybody should have that on their marketing team. And I'll be honest with you, like, I'm not a creative person, and I have 7 other great team members on my team that are, and they're the ones that come up with the ideas and the branding, the fonts, the logos, the campaigns, all of that stuff. I'm the one that's behind the scenes, like, wait, if we're going to turn this on, we got to make sure it works with this system and that system. And I'm a big proponent of testing. And so everything we do that comes to our table, I'm always like, wait, we can't just push this out, we have to test it first. We have to have a property that we can do it with. You know, we can't just push things out. But that's in my role. That's what I feel like is so different. You know, they are. They look at me and they're like, "Yeah, you go figure out if it works, and then we'll make sure it looks good when we push it out." And of course, they do a lot more than that. But you know, that's just kind of how. That's the part of the fun part of it. So once we all do come together, it's amazing the kind of ideas that, you know, come from us all being in one team. And yeah, we're all such different people in such different roles, though.
Well, that's what creates magic too, right? When you can collaborate and have, I always say, you want to hire people that have a unique ability somewhere else that isn't yours. And likewise, then you're the person that everybody is coming to and they're saying, oh my gosh, can you figure out how to please make this happen for us? And that is, that's a cool role. I mean, because you're so needed. And to your point, the need of the role, because you see what happens in organizations when there isn't, I'd almost say it's like a gatekeeper, right? For you too. We talked to Gloria last week and she was a gatekeeper with pricing and rents. You're a gatekeeper with systems and new marketing pieces to implement. So
yeah, and it's great because I get to work with all of the departments, you know, because really marketing has turned into technology. That is pretty much what it is now. We're not IT, but we have become one with our IT departments because everything, you know, has to be integrated with the systems. Everything has to work well and look well. And so we can't just roll things out on our own. We have to get with our IT. We have to get with training, marketing, policy. So yeah, everybody has to work together. There's no more just this one department is rolling out this huge product anymore. It's all together.
Well, and y'all are a behemoth. Like, you know, it's not like you're have 3 properties and can all just talk. I mean, you've got to coordinate and make sure all the systems work together. Ian, he's worked the magic here for us and put all our systems in place. So I know it resonates with him, right?
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I think it's, you know, it's always just an interesting balance of, you know, managing that flow of, especially from your standpoint, with all the creative workers coming to you with new ideas all the time, and managing that in terms of, you know, how can we stay ahead of the game on that, you know, bleeding edge of technology and really have that competitive advantage, and how do you balance that with stability, right? And how do you, you know, make sure that, you know, that the systems are going to be able to be managed and that they're going and being tested. And I think it's an interesting point of like seeing that balance evolve through the years, where technology was coming into our industry and at a relatively slow pace. And then all of a sudden, you know, it starts coming at us faster and faster and faster. And we, you know, as companies, and especially as, you know, Lincoln is such a large company and getting it from so many different owners and things, you know, how do you manage some of that balance between those new ideas coming in and the stability standpoint?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that's also what makes us kind of unique. I mean, I don't know if there's more than a handful of properties out there that works kind of like Lincoln does. We have, you know, a majority, like 80%, if not, you know, more, is fee managed. And so the cool thing I think about it, you know, some people think it's a hindrance, but I think it's a benefit because we can do whatever we want. You know, the owner comes to us and says, we like this product. We've never heard about it. And we're like, okay, that sounds like it would work. And let's try it out and let's see if it works. We don't have to have like a huge meeting of all of our teams and say, will this work for everyone? Mm-hmm. Because we can just roll it out at one region or one property. You know, we're client driven. So really it's just us saying, yes, we can do it and get it done. So that's kind of why we are excited about the way things work here. And it's not just, it's one platform. Everybody does this one thing. So we kind of like having that variety.
For sure. And that allows you to customize things and like you said, cater to clients' needs and desires while still being their safeguard, right? And testing things. Yeah,
exactly. But yeah, when they come to us with a new idea, we're like, yeah, sure, let's do it. You know, right? I think that's why we get a lot of business as well. because we don't say no.
Right. Right. Well, and that puts a lot more on you to manage too, because you aren't, you do have to learn and get to know the different systems. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that when we come back. We'll take a quick commercial. As long as all of our power is back, who knows? This may be real quick. We'll be right back.
Welcome to your beautiful new apartment home here at Gables Point 14. As you can see, we're featuring this beautiful one-bedroom den.
Welcome to the Get Focused podcast, a show with stimulating conversation about optimizing our human potential for those who think outside of the box. You'll hear thought-provoking conversation designed to help you blow past your obstacles and create strength and motivation in everything you do. Now, it's time to start thinking outside of the box. It's time to get focused.
We're back. Yay.
Yeah. Made it. When we left here, we were talking a little bit about, how to choose between, these different systems, or really how to manage the influx of all these different new systems. And, from your side too, Nicole, are there moments where you have to decide to say no and move on from those systems, and kind of what's that like, and how do you approach those scenarios?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we all know with COVID that we kind of were forced, and I think we've talked about this before, but we were forced to use a lot of things that we were scared to use before, because we were like, well, we haven't fully tested that out, and we have leasing agents. We don't need virtual, so all of that stuff was kind of forced for us to use, and we embraced it, and we did. We got the virtual tours out, we got chat bots, we got all the bots, we got AI, we've got all these things that we're rolling out, and that we rolled out in 2020. And so that's kind of our goal in 2021 is, okay, we've got all these cool, great gadgets, but we need to make sure they work and that they make sense now, and it works well for the prospects and our residents. So that's kind of our new thing, is just to making sure everything that we put in place is actually working and functioning correctly. And then, of course, anything new that comes, we're ready for it because we know we can do it. We know we push stuff out before under pressure, and it works. It works for the industry. I know a lot of other, management companies are doing had to do the same thing. But, not only did we realize it worked for us, but it's thriving and it's helping our communities even with all these gadgets. So yeah, that's kind of, we've got 30, 40 probably different types of systems running at a time. I mean, I know we went and checked, just like asking everybody, like, how many dashboards do you log into, or how many systems do you log into a day? And I mean, almost everyone on average is at least 10. So that's a lot.
Yeah. No, I mean, really, we've talked about this before, but amazing over the last year to see how just being thrust into this absolute need to implement new technologies, out of fear. But I think we learned so much on both sides of, like, hey, from your standpoint, like, we can do this and we can manage this. And then on the other standpoint, like, maybe not all of this is actually working, and we can actually kind of vet and look at some of that. And, one thing that I always love to keep coming back to is just, I think we realize too how important those on-site team members really are throughout this whole process. And I think with a lot of that technology, we try and have that take place a lot at that corporate office. But I think through COVID in this last year, we're really seeing a huge effort in order to actually integrate that into the on-site teams. And there's such a vital part of that. It's just been really cool to actually watch a lot of these concepts and ideas really needing to get that buy-in. And the companies and properties who have done that successfully seem to really be reaping the benefits of it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, we did some campaigns and things during that time just to try to keep morale up with our residents and things like that. And so the stuff that our on-site teams came up with, blew our minds, really. I mean, we have some that created igloos, like in the outside seating area. So you have your little, contained space, but you can still go outside and utilize the amenities. And I mean, they're just, and I know we all saw the industry with the dance parties on the patios, and the grocery store sending it to the residents when we know they can't go somewhere. The things that they did on their own without us was amazing. So
that is so special, and it's so neat to see teams and groups of people rise up, right, in unique situations. And not that, we've said this, we don't want this to be all about COVID, but this is a unique week here, as it's really that 1 year mark. And you talked about what people did. I'd be curious, Nicole, you go, because all of us are doing this right now, right? A year ago this week, what was your outlook? What did you think was ahead of us as we all started to shut down? And then also to piggyback on that, what is your outlook today going forward?
Yeah, for sure. I do definitely remember it was the 13th and we were all, it was this week. I'll be honest, I was scared of what we could and couldn't do. Just the concept of everything, the change and all of it coming so fast. So yeah, we had tons of goals, but when that happened, then we looked at our goals and we were like, these goals don't really matter anymore. So let's just do away with those goals. Maybe look at them next year. And we created, a whole new set of goals. And then now we're looking back on it, now at the goals that we had last year. And those have even changed dramatically too, because we're like, well, this really isn't that important anymore, and so we've done a lot of things already this year. Mm-hmm. We've launched a new website, it looks amazing. And we had all these things in works, so it's finally starting to happen, the things that we had been working on for several years. So that's been exciting. But yeah, it was definitely, I definitely have a different outlook on things. I'm very positive. I'm excited. I'm ready to see, our residents out and about and happy and,
right.
See what we can do to make this transition, better for everyone. But yeah, totally different from last year for sure.
I think I had rose-colored glasses on. Of course, I walk around with them every day. But even this time last year, I had I think we were planning to come to your conference. And right? I had a girls' trip in April planned. I was like, oh, it's fine. We'll still be going. And then, woof. So, but it is exciting. And I think, Ian, you've said it before, just what can come out of challenging circumstances, and whether it's a product or, really, Nicole, you even said it, just what some of the special things that happened that nobody could have anticipated or expected. So Another thing, last week I threw a little curveball to Ian and asked him what the walk-off home run question of his piece of advice, and I thought it was awesome, and I didn't know what he was going to say, and he said to embrace failure, and I think that's a neat question to ask people, because we've all and the word failed is hard for me to say, but like messed up. Yeah. It was so. Before we come before we come back, or while we go to break, we'll go to break, but think about this, Nicole, and maybe you could share it when we come back, is just what's one of your biggest mess ups, or a mess up. It doesn't have to be your biggest one, but what's one of your mess ups or failure that you've embraced and come through. So we'll go to our commercial, and then when we come back, you can share that.
Okay. I may or may not be here.
Introducing Remote Lock Universal Access Control. Remote Lock lets you manage any lock, from smart locks to hardwired access control systems, securing every door from the main entrance to the rooftop patio. And you get to choose from the best top-of-the-line smart locks out there, from brands like Yale, Schlage, Kwikset, August, Mercury, and many more. Now you can configure and add access at the push of a button and set up customized schedules for each and every user, all within a matter of minutes. It even works with property management and booking software like Airbnb, Guesty, Entrata, RealPage, and more. With Remote Lock, you'll finally have a future-proof solution that controls all your properties around the world from a single, easy-to-use platform. Let Remote Lock be the last access control partner you'll ever need.
Hey guys, Jonathan Turner here from The Jonathan Turner Show. I premiere live every single day, Monday through Friday, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Podbean, and Twitch. Tomorrow morning on the show, we're talking about the greatest sports moments of all time. Well, what is your greatest sports moment? What is the moment you remember the most in your childhood or even as an adult? Tomorrow morning, we're going to talk about that and so much more. So come back here tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Podbean, and Twitch. And I'll see you here bright and early at 7 a.m.
What a transition from greatest sports moments.
Biggest failure.
Greatest failure could be a sports moment. You never know.
Definitely.
And you're still here.
I'm here. Might as well face it, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that has happened, I mean, there's always been oops emails and things like that, but those to me are like, you can live, you get over it. Probably the biggest thing for me that I learned from is rolling out a huge product to our entire company, and it was check scanning. And I thought I could do it by myself. So, I was like, I got this. I'm going to set up webinars every day for, every hour on the hour, and, I'll get it done in, a month or two or whatever. So, we have 500 properties at that time, and that's just not. It's just not doable. And so I tried it for a couple of months, and not only were the communities just like not getting on the calls, not having their skate equipment or whatever ready. So, I mean, it was just so many things that I didn't think about because I was trying it myself, that finally when I was like, after about a month of just killing myself, I was like, okay, I need to rethink this and maybe get some help. And that was early on in my career. So I really learned that you really can't do anything on your own. You have to use your team members and your partners, your marketing partners, and everyone to make sure that things go out smoothly and everyone gets what they need from the training and everything. And you go with your training department and outsource and everyone. So yeah, that was my biggest learning curve, is just to, nobody can do it by yourself. So.
What a cool outcome from it, though, too, right? To realize that it's so important to lean on each other. And I think, what I think so neat in our industry is that our on-site teams, which is usually where most of us get introduced to it, they're the perfect example of, I can't lease an apartment unless the service team and I are working together to make sure it's turned. And I can't, if the social media is not out there, like, you all have to work together. My assistant manager, if we are rents are due, and there's just so many things. So it's in a small setting there, but
there were so many hats out on site. And so that's, definitely, we try to make their life a little bit easier from our standpoint and not harder. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I just think it's always so important for everyone to remember, though, that, everyone fails at these things. And I guarantee you now, if in terms of rolling out, a product, you're probably one of the best people ever to do it because of your experience of of having and struggling through that and that failure. And it's just so important. I mean, I constantly am asking, anyone that I deem to be successful of, tell me about your experience, and almost every single time they're like, well, yeah, no, I really screwed up, and I lost everything 10 times before I made it all. And and so it just goes to show you that embracing that failure is and learning from it, really taking the time to say, okay, what happened there, learning from it, and then you can be much more proficient and ready for that next go around and have a huge leg up. So but anyways, shifting the conversation a little bit here, I'm curious on just what are some things that you're excited about, some initiatives that you guys are working on, or anything that where the industry's going. What are some of those things you're excited about right now?
Yeah, so we're excited we hopefully have a conference coming up, within the next year to get back out there and see all of our people. For one, that's like the most important thing, is our people, making sure everybody, feels good about what we have rolled out and, what we're talking about rolling out. So, but yeah, we're starting to look heavily into, for sure, chatbots. Everybody loves them, and, it's immediate response, and everybody is starting to use them more and more. And, making sure our websites look good and that all the links on them work, because it's so frustrating when you go to one of our beautiful community websites and half of the things don't go anywhere, or they are errored out, So we're constantly auditing, all of our communities and our corporate website and all these things to make sure that the functionality works. And but of course, we're also looking at, doing some AI stuff and, trying to open up our minds to these other programs out there that we've heard about for so many years, but just been either too scared or just didn't have the people to do it and roll it out. So there's a couple of things that we're, looking at and excited about.
Awesome. Yeah, no, exciting stuff on the plate for you, I'm sure. So I know we're kind of coming up close to time here, so wanted to get to our walk-off home run question, as Karen likes to call it, which is what would be what advice would you give to any person who's coming in new to the industry or just starting out?
I think the best advice that I could give is just, for lack of better words, be a sponge. Like really soak up the knowledge of the industry and how the tenure that most companies have, but also don't be afraid to speak up and say what your ideas are, because we've had people come on board and had an idea and they just didn't think it was great, and it ended up being our company, tagline or something. And so, definitely be open to, listening, but definitely, we want to make sure people talk out too and give us all their ideas, because usually those are the fresh ideas that we're looking for, because, again, we've all been in the industry a while. So
Totally. Yeah, no, I think that's such great advice. I think, people a lot of times don't realize at the time when they're just getting into the industry of how important that, initial information and workflow of, especially on the front lines of that day-to-day, how integral that is throughout your career, really understanding those workings and the intricacies of it, because as you continue and are able to really impact and make change, knowing that workflow is just so critical, and knowing what you're hearing from everyone, and having that wherewithal to soak it all in is just such amazing advice.
Yeah, it's perfect advice. And I hope that we can put all of these little morsels of advice together at the end and give everybody another, there's plenty of that out there. But Nicole, it's been so awesome to have you on today. And, it's interesting. Ian and I have talked back and forth about, should we do 30 minutes or 60 minutes? And now 3 people in, every one of y'all has had so much to say, and I'm so sad our time is done.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This was a blast.
And it did go fast.
The rest of you guys' episodes too.
Yeah, you're fantastic. Thank you for being here with us, and we'll see you soon.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
Happy birthday, Mom.